Welcome to the early morning show with Dr. Defacto. Yeah, that's right. I'm not a morning person either. I never have been. Um, but I had to come on again, and I don't know if there's anybody out there. It doesn't look like anybody's in the comments yet. Because I was thinking about the research that I've been doing on the myths out there about medication and how they cure mental illness, and about some of the corruption involved in psychiatry, and all the things that targeted individuals deal with. Okay, because that's when you're dealing with the critics of the targeted individual community, when you're dealing with the accusations that targets inevitably deal with, you have to have information. Okay, I've heard several interviews of very brave targeted individuals talking to people that they probably shouldn't have been, conversing with them anyway. Because one of the things that I've noticed that it seems obvious when you're dealing with these critics or people who just, well, I believe there might be something going on, but I want you to answer some tough questions. I want to ask you about, and they ask about the testimony, which it's really a trap. And then they'll ask, the other things, questions concerning what the target individuals deal with. Why are all these people after you? Why are you such an important person, or whatever the things that go along with the diagnostic criteria, which goes into some of the things that I wanted to get out there. And my point is, I put the material in the playlist, right, under psychiatry and the covert agenda, which was the first movie, Hidden Enemy, Psychiatry's Covert Agenda. That's the first bit of information that's in that playlist, that section. But I had to come in. I put the links in the description of this live stream, because it really drives me nuts. Not only is it just bait, these people don't really care. They don't really want to know. There's individuals out there. There was one guy who did he did a documentary about this, and of course, he brought up the classic dilemmas that target individuals deal with, in the sense that it does seem suspicious that one person is getting all this attention. And of course, the only result that seems to come out of it are these allegations of maybe a target being tortured with directed energy weapons, or people harassing them at their workplace, or whatever. What are they trying to do? What, are they just trying to freak you out? So that the government is spending all this money. You got the 007 people come after you, breaking in your house, doing all these things, and all they want to do is rearrange your furniture. How did you escape? Well, who's doing it? Well, it's the government, it's the Freemasons, and so. Oh, but you just happen to survive and outsmart them. Oh, that's believable. Well, that's not what's going on. Okay, and then it moves in to the next area of, well, do you think maybe some of these people might be schizophrenic? Well, maybe they are. Okay. If you want to look at it that way, we'll just hypothetically say that that's true. Okay. Because the next thing that comes at the target is, well, there's lots of help out there for the schizos and all these people, that I think that there's been a lot of advances in medicine. Really. Okay, here's where this comes in, because they'll present some study or whatever, some kind of baloney involving this myth, this mythos involved with this big pharma agenda, that people can be cured of all these mental illnesses if they just take drugs. And it comes from somewhere too. Oh yes, it does. Okay. And I have never heard a target fight back with real you know, information and real evidence of these things, and it's out there. Okay, there's plenty of documentaries, plenty of you know, studies by doctors, right? Not just you know, the crazy Dr. Defacto who just supposedly wants to make a bunch of money on targeted individuals, right? Or have a channel and you know, or whatever. But these are people who are non-biased. These are people who have looked into. They're not, you know, trying to you know, get into the targeted individual community or do anything. They're non-biased. They really were trying to help their patients. They were really looking in to medical options for people with schizophrenia, for people who are suffering from you know, all kinds of different symptoms in the DSM, which is another topic of how this stuff, you know, gets propagated, because you have so much criteria and so many options for individuals that anybody can be diagnosed as mentally ill. You've got some people out there which they had to modify the criteria for you know, getting Social Security disability, because there were so many doctors out there giving multiple contradictive diagnoses and prognoses to people who were coming to the, you know, to get the, you know, the disability, that they had to, the, you know, they had to be the ones to debunk this. Wait a minute here, you've got like seven, you know, different, you got seven different diagnoses. You got mental illness on that level of, really, it's that exponential. Yeah, I've got agoraphobic, the anxiety disorder, and you know, and they've got schizophrenia. They've got the bipolar. They've got all these things are listed on the people are coming in droves with this. By the way, they're not turning out as many of them now. In fact, I think a lot of the, and I'm not saying this is the only reason, but there's about half as many people getting, you know, accepted than there used to be. Not that you wouldn't have had to get a lawyer anyway, right? But what's the obvious issue? There's an inconsistency concerning the diagnosis of mental disease and actual mental disease, right? So, you know, a lot of people say, well, for targeted individuals, that doesn't count. Well, it matters because it shows the corruption. It shows how inaccurate the system is. The DSM, how people are being, the links are in the description, how people are being, you know, admitted for mental illness and then given drugs that actually cause the symptoms that that are in the DSM. So people are getting medicated, and so they're labeled as mentally ill or whatever. A targeted individual. We'll use a targeted individual as an example. Okay, the target goes to get help, because I always talk about this when it comes to gang stalking. What happens to targets? They get attacked. They don't know what the hell's going on. Their concept of where they live, what the world is about, all that stuff is flipped around because they're being harassed. They've been targeted. They assume that it's legitimate for the sake of argument. Okay, people are breaking into their house. You know, they're getting little directed conversations and innuendos from strangers. Things are going. They're being harassed, and they don't know what's going on. And of course, there's little themes that go along with all the stuff that targets get with the personal information when their phones are being hacked, when people are looking into their background, when they're profiling them, when they're being surveilled and followed around, where people have put cameras in their house, whatever, and then they throw it at them. Of course, they're going to be freaked out. Right? Well, who are these? What's going on? You know, and of course that goes into what I said before. Why would people do this? Well, it's sometimes it's just a power trip. We did a show about that last. Sometimes it is some type of government thing where they're experimenting on different ways to silence whistleblowers and discredit people. And sometimes it's just a way for people to be coerced. You know, there's other things going on. as far as community harassment, and the good old boy society where you don't want to go against the system. If you do, you're gonna end up like one of them. You want to be blackballed. You want to deal with all that, with the rumors, with the disinformation. Well, yeah, you why don't you just leave? Get out of here. Get out of our community. There's a lot of reasons why targets deal with these things, and some of it's spiritual, where they're targeted demonically, and all these people, whether it's the government programs or the secret societies or the good old boy society or whatever, all the little puppets involved, they're dealing with that. They go to the hospital. They go to the hospital, or they talk to somebody and say, I don't know, maybe you should, the cops will say they call the police. Somebody broke in and they put the different type of salad dressing, and then they switched around my soda cans and something ridiculous, because that's what happens to targets. Of course, it's nothing that you can make a legitimate report about, and it makes the target look like they're just looking for attention or losing it or on drugs or something. But of course, that's not the only thing they're dealing with, because they're being threatened or what else. What are the cops going to do? They're going to call the hospital and say, we're going to bring this person down. We think, they need to talk to a psychiatrist. They sound crazy. We're worried about them. This is the third call we've gotten. They're claiming people are breaking into their house and, switching the macaroni down to the second shelf of their cupboard. Really? Okay, well, just bring them in, and we'll see what's going on with them. And so what do? They tell the doctors there, oh, this is what's happening to me. People are coming up to me and they're telling me, what's going on. I was wearing striped underwear, last Saturday, and how would anybody have known? How would anybody have known? And so you think people are watching you? Okay, what else is going on? Oh, they were coming up to me. Well, I was at work, and they were talking about stuff that I was fighting with my girlfriend about, and then we just broke up. And well, wait a minute. So how would they know that? How would they know that? How many people are you talking about? Well, there was a lady at the convenience store, and the people at work, and somebody drove up next to me while I was on my way to work and screamed some stuff at me, and they knew too. Really? So all these people are after, and they're reading your mind, or they're what they have. I think they've got cameras in my. Oh, really? So why would all these people be doing all these things to you? Well, one of them was talking about Rh negative blood type, and then the Freemasons, they're running the world. Oh, the Freemasons, they're after you, huh? Well, the government is very. So how long has it been going on? And of course, now the targeted individual, fits the criteria of suffering from a persecutory delusion. They look delusional. They look like they're in a psychosis. None of these things make sense, right? Of course, we've gone through all the explanations to this stuff, and it's done that way purposefully. So now what happens? Well, they're going to be committed, right? Especially if they've reacted or something else, like I've talked about before in videos. You don't want to react. It's kind of dangerous going around, writing the government, calling the police, and wearing a sign about energy weapons could really be dangerous if they can provoke you. And you just, now you can't lie. You can't say anything. You got to tell I'm a TI and everybody's after me in the government. And so what are they going to do? You're crazy. So now what's the protocol? Meds. We're gonna give, and just like I just said and mentioned, that a lot of the meds out there that are supposedly treating these psychiatric disorders and the sequelae of these conditions listed, they actually cause it. Yeah. So they came in talking about hearing voices and how the government is using voice to skull technology on. And no, people are reading their minds too, and they're being followed and surveilled. And somebody broke into their house and switched the macaroni down to the second shelf. Oh gosh, you got so much credibility at that point, don't you? But the target has just simply told the truth. They're just telling people what's really going on. They're not lying. They're not making it up. They're not crazy. So what are they getting out of all this? Oh, I don't know. It's supposedly it's the Freemasons are after them. Yeah, the macaroni bandit has been chasing him down, and evidently went in there and switched the salad dressing out. They took the vinaigrette and switched it with the ranch dressing. Yeah, we figured we'd let the chief fill out the report on that one. And the targeted individual looks nuts. And of course, now they're medicated, and they're displaying the symptoms and the sequelae of all kinds of different psychiatric disorders on the DSM. Right? There was in fact, watch the documentaries. Watch this. You have to have this information. People, it drives me nuts when people are coming at targets and they're boxing him in with the same stuff that I've been talking about now. And then have you ever tried medication? Have you ever just, maybe, went and tried to get on? Look at it. Look at the information. It's a myth. Okay. Now, like I said earlier, as a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. And when I talked about this stuff in the live stream last night, I mentioned that for acute symptoms and short-term usage to stabilize someone who has been, legitimately diagnosed with some type of problem, not necessarily that it fits the criteria of a disease, that medication can be used, and sometimes it can be effective. But in the case of long-term usage, along with these diagnoses and all this mythos that people are dealing with, it actually causes mental illness, literally, and it causes dysfunction in the individual. And it's just a bunch of profit. It's just corruption. It's all it is. So on whatever level that you're looking at, the critics that come at these people who are being harassed, legitimate targeted individuals, they're using this falsified mythos, all this mythology. It's all it is to try to box the target in. Of course, like I said, it's bad enough that you're dealing with a literal collusion of people who are out to drive you nuts, and they're using plausible deniability. They're using sensitization tactics. They're using covert methodology. And of course, if you say anything, you're just nuts. And you're inevitably going to be paranoid. You're inevitably going to be dealing with sleep deprivation and confusion and all. It all fits the criteria. And targets, of course, they're forced into that scenario. Well, okay, maybe, and there's always a bunch of shills. Maybe there are people who are mentally ill or schiz. There's always a bunch of shills in the targeted individual community, and they're out there pretending like they're targets, but they're making the most ridiculous videos. They're coming up with the craziest things. Oh, they set up an accident scene for me, and they must have used fake ketchup as blood on that guy's head when they were putting him in the ambulance, but I know it was there for me. Well, no, it wasn't. Now, that's also another thing to say. I know that some targets believe that, and they're not shills, but that's when we get into propositional tyranny, and they're dealing with demons and other things and drugs and other things that targets are given covertly, or they're covertly poisoned or drugged, or they're dealing with other things. And yes, demons are real. Okay. Yes, the spiritual dimension is real. Yes, secret programs are real. Yes, secret societies are real. Okay. The occult is, yes, they're connected. You haven't done your research. And so, but they have the upper hand. Oh, there's got to be reasonable explanations for this. Of course, maybe you're just schizophrenic. Have you ever tried, and the list of medications, by the way, is in these videos too. So I wanted to, and I'm getting ready for work right now. And I'm cooking breakfast, and it's probably almost done. In fact, I got to check and see if because I want to get out there early and I want to make some money. But it just, that's the first thing I was thinking about when I got up this morning, is that, it's irritating to see targets boxed in. It's irritating to see this mythos, all these, the propaganda maneuvers that are out there that are just ridiculous. All this stuff is corruption and profit. And like I said earlier, I don't know if I forgot what I was talking about, but yeah, there's some benefit to medications if they're used properly. If people are not coming out there with 15 different medications, some of them just to counteract the side effects of something that is obviously guaranteed over the long term to make you dysfunctional. Okay. We don't have a moderator, so hopefully there's no perps out there. And you have to know this stuff because that's the battle you're in as a target. I always get into arguments with people where people will make comments, oh, I'm not ashamed to be in a trial. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to, okay, well, if you end up in that position, because like I've said, you've got two groups of people who know about this stuff and people who have no idea. And they're going to mess with you. And the people who don't know, well, for their own mental health, they can't really believe you. Right? So there's a cabal of people out there that are going to, I don't know, put something on my hamburger when I go to McDonald's. Yeah, they did it to me. Right? Okay. Well, I think I've got to go now. See you later, you crazy bastard. And you got a hell of a situation on your hands if you're going to do that. Not only that, but it's only natural for targets who are experiencing harassment to reach out to people that care about them. Okay, yeah, you can be infiltrated, and just the people that don't know about it around you who do care about you, they might think you need to get your head examined. Well, you're going to be up against that. Okay. And like I said, there's a lot of shills out there. And, what do you do when you have something legitimate? You make it look ridiculous. Right. So you have the disinformation. You have the people that for example, that have experience and they say that they've been abducted by aliens or something like that or whatever. Okay. Well, I don't think these people are all getting together and lying about that stuff. Do I believe they're getting abducted by people from Zeta Reticuli or the Andromeda Galaxy? No, I don't. Science would say that if something like that was happening, you'd be dealing with dimensional aspects, rather than literally traveling through outer space in some type of fast vehicle or something, which it'd be impossible. But are there aliens? Well, no. I think that's probably spiritual stuff, and there's other explanations for it, and a lot of people will go into that. And it's not a coincidence that when people talk about having these abduction experiences or dealing with these angels or apparitions, or these not angels, they would think they're aliens, and they use the name of Christ. Or they invoke the power of God on the situation, and it stops. Why would aliens care about a religion? If they're from another galaxy or some star system out there somewhere, or some other blue planet somewhere, and they're just here as visitors, or they wanted to. Why would they care about that? Because it stops, right? People who are involved in the occult, people who are involved in the New Age movement, they have these experiences. And then when they apply the name of Jesus, it stops. Amazing. Okay, but my point is, are they making that stuff up? No. Are they having a mass delusion? No. These things are happening to them. You get into the Irish myths and stuff like that. When you get into people being abducted, this stuff has been going on for a long time. What is it? I don't know. A lot of people would go into different things involving genetic tampering and other little games that are being played concerning the Genesis 6 account. That's not what this video is about. But the point is, they're discredited. It looks like they're insane, right? It sounds ridiculous. And then you get people out there who say, oh no, Planet X is coming, and we're moving into a intergalactic system change, and the Space Brothers are coming. And they just want to take away your nuclear weapons and save the planet, right? Well, when you get into the other theories involving stuff like that, and then they have the ridiculous videos and the fake autopsies, and of course everybody just blows it off. rather than looking at it as something that's really happening to these people, which it is. It's just not what you think it is. And as far as targeted individuals are, concerned, they're really dealing with these things. And just because somebody, gets so dysfunctional, they're in a psychosis because of the things that are happening to them, a type of environmental stimuli that creates, the sequelae of schizophrenia or something. It's just manufactured schizophrenia. The things that they're telling people are real. These things that are happening to them are real. And this whole idea that all these mental defective people with all these diseases just need to be drugged up, and that's the way it is. And it's eugenics mixed with a Nazi damn agenda that's been around for a long time, and with all this Marxism and communism and everything else. And now you have not only the moral breakdown of society and the incremental indoctrination of generations of people to be sexually immoral, sexually confused, dumbed down, indoctrinated, and blind. And one of the ways that they accomplish it not only is the infiltration of our culture and a type of cultural possession of people, but with these myths, with the mythos of drugging people up because they're crazy, not just targeted individuals, but somebody who has they're afraid of spiders. Oh, that sounds crazy. You fit the diagnostic criteria of the DSM. You have a mental disorder. Oh, you're afraid to speak in public? It could be agoraphobia and generalized anxiety disorder. Yeah, maybe we put you on some Prozac. Yeah. Oh, look, they're starting to see little children running around, and there's no one there. God, the exponential effects of their manifested mental illness and disease are just going crazy. It can't be the drugs. No, that can't be it. We're not over medicating these people. They're just falling into the abyss of their mental disease. And these supposed doctors and big pharma just raking in the money, raking in the cash, raking it in, man. Yeah, you gotta love it. And then the target tries to get help, and of course the meat grinder starts turning. Yep, the old meat grinder of death. And once you get your foot caught, it's pretty damn hard to get out of it. Oh, who'd you tell? You talked to the police, and they sent you down to the hospital, and you've been committed, and now it's on paper that you're schizophrenic. But you haven't hurt anybody or hurt yourself. Talked about a mass shooting, so they let you go. But now you're crazy. So anytime you try to get help, if something happens, if you get legitimate information or evidence, nobody's going to listen to you. Amazing. My gosh. Hold on, guys. I'm cooking some breakfast here. And like I said earlier, I just thought I'd come on here. And I didn't prepare anything for this. This is just me in the morning. And of course, I want to get out there and make some money. So I have to, in order to even see your comments, I'm going to have to get my magnifying glass out here and read some, see who's out there. Okay, welcome to the live stream, Pamela Barone. Read Ephesians 6:12. Welcome to the live stream. And this is dirty. Hold on. Okay, let's see what's up here. I got some comments out there. Okay, Mel, been watching and loving your videos. Well, thank you. That's a nice thing to say. Yeah, Read Ephesians says, share this video, y'all. Yes, do that. And share those links, or if nothing else, go into the playlist and do it yourself. Psychiatry and the Covert Agenda. And like I said before, I'm not a doctor, and I believe that there's a place for psychiatry and psychology and medication if used properly. Because, what people are really dealing with is an agenda. and they are dealing, with corruption, literally. It's just like the stuff that's in those videos that has to do with people being incarcerated. And sometimes people will go out and get drunk, and I saw that while I was up at the psych center, getting stabilized to go to detox, because in order to get detoxed, or excuse me, in order to go through the detox, and the way I did it, I had to go there, and then I had to go up to the treatment center. But when people, would just show up because they're out there drunk, they're drinking too much alcohol or whatever, they tried to smoke that synthetic weed. I can't remember what the hell that stuff was called. They were tripped out, man. They were way whacked out, and they'd wake up, and after the doctors would give them drugs or whatever, they're like, I thought I was in an apocalypse, man, and I was walking around, and I thought I thought Russia invaded, man. And I don't know. Last thing I remember is smoking some synthetic joints. But people would end up in the psych center, and they get too drunk or something, and then of course they'd be diagnosed with all this stuff, and then they'd get drugged up. But the insurance companies had to start investigating people, as far as the hospitals and these mental facilities, because they were doing that. Okay, you get into a crisis center or something, like, they're probably going to help you, and depending on what kind of insurance, they're probably going to get rid of you, but you're still going to be on paper. I'm not saying that everybody's out to get you. But the point is that there is corruption. And then when they get these people on these drugs, of course, they will even try to trigger them and harass them covertly as a form of gang stalking, to trigger them and get them committed, because they know that, once they're diagnosed with a particular condition, then what happens? Well, their insurance starts paying them, right? That's money, and it's not cheap to be in one of these facilities. You're talking about a lot of money, right? Thousands of dollars a day. And the insurance company basically forced to pay this stuff, And so they started investigating. Wait a minute. What's going on here? Why are all the statistics changing concerning the environment of people being diagnosed with these mental disorders? So all of a sudden, the rates or the percentages of the population that have these particular disorders that we are paying for, it's costing us a huge amount of money. It's gone up 60%. All of a sudden, everybody's bipolar or schizophrenic or whatever. They're all taking these drugs we're paying for, and they have these long-term diseases. Now we're going to have to, we're going to be, paying for this for 2 years. These people have been committed against their will. Well, it's corruption, and it's the same thing that, as far as I'm concerned, is happening with the stigma of people, criticizing targeted individuals and telling them they got to be drugged up. Oh, so people are after you. Well, that fits the DSM for schizophrenia. Hold on, the cat's no, don't get up there. Lay down, honey. She's trying to get up on my plastic furniture. As somebody who's had to, move several times, I don't have a whole lot of stuff in here. She gets up there, she's gonna start knocking stuff down. Yes, he's your little baby. Yes, you are. Okay, well, let's see here. I'm just about done cooking breakfast. Hold on a minute, guys. But it's still got to cool down, so we'll talk for a little while longer. And I gotta turn this off here. Yeah, I cook right next to my bed when I wake up. I just get it going, man. I don't know. I could live in a studio apartment and it wouldn't bother. You get used to dealing with stuff like that as a target, and I've talked about that before. You got to let things go. Some people get frustrated, and they, of course, it's not wrong to want a nice house, to want a nice kitchen, to want all those things, a family, the 2-car garage, and the white picket fence and all that. But as a target, sometimes you're hindered, and accomplishing all those things is not necessarily possible. And you can't let it get to you, though. You can't let that stuff bother you. You can't, let the sense of injustice. They want to manipulate you. That's what they do. And of course, then when you're triggered and you start talking about the Freemasons and the Illuminati and the MK Ultra extended program that nobody knows about, and the government agents that are after you, and the demons that are talking to you, and the satellite that's beaming V2K with scalar waves into your brain, and all this other stuff is, well, they just might think you're crazy, and of course they're gonna dope you up, and then you will be. We're all just schizophrenics here in the TI community. Okay, let's see what else is out there. On Average Joe, welcome to the live stream. You've gone down a lot of rabbit holes, and you're convinced this world is beyond superficial. So that means everything is by design for a certain outcome. Powers that can have nefarious agendas, indeed. I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that. The point is that people are blind to those things. And it is. There's so much manipulation going on. It's ridiculous. And like I said, there's a foundation to all this. Okay. And that's a spiritual foundation. You're a spiritual being. You were created by God. And there are other types of entities that are involved in the world that you live in and the universe that you live in. You're not just on a rock floating through outer space, and it just happened to be surrounded by all these things. And it's a miracle that we came here. So a pond was hit by lightning, and over billions and billions and billions of years, from the dinosaurs to the meadowlark to the human to the taco stand. Who now we've got Freemasons and clowns, and it's a circus, and it's a miracle. No, there's a way that this happened, and a lot of that stuff is just a bunch of BS too. When you get into the science and the evolution, and we'll just throw billions of years at it. Yeah, that's what happened. And then your granddaddy was a mouse, and my uncle's a monkey. I'm smart. Oh, look, there's redshift and the Doppler effect. Really? How'd you get all that? Wouldn't that require the rapid formation of stars in order to get the heavy metals for the star? Well, it doesn't. This is billions of years. Just throw billions of years at it. Yeah, there's other things going on. Doesn't it matter that we've had fulfilled Bible prophecy to the exact year and day, 173,880 days from the decree of 444 to the coming of Jesus? Wow, amazing. Oh, must be a coincidence, because I came from an amoeba. I came from a bacteria and some DNA that was in a pond that got hit by lightning. Oh, okay. Now who's crazy? Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, that was what I was trying to figure out. On Average Joe says it was spice or K2. That was just, I seen some people just go wacky on that stuff, man. A huge guy that I actually went to treatment with him, and we were sitting out in his little apartment because he got kicked out of his house by his wife, and so he couldn't go back there yet. And we got out of treatment and everything, but he was living in this little apartment hotel thing, and the guy next door offered him a joint. And so he got it from him, and he's you want some? I'm like, no, I quit, But he he starts puffing on this thing, and the next thing I know, he looks over at me, and he says, "You got powers, you're strong." And I'm like, what? And this guy's huge, it's like 6'5", prison tattoos and everything. The dude, was in a maximum security prison for 7 years for punching a guy in the side of the head for attacking his wife because she was supposedly shoplifting, right? So he's sitting out in his vehicle, and he sees his wife running towards the vehicle, and this guy grabs her around the throat, who worked at Walmart. So he goes out there, grabs the little dude, punches him in the side of the head. It actually knocks his eyeball out of his socket, literally. Okay, so he ends up at a Supermax for 7 years, and then whatever. So they had to quit doing that at Walmart and grocery stores. But and so this guy ends up doing drugs and everything. He ends up in treatment with me, and now he's sitting across the room telling me I've got powers. But then he ends up on the ground and he's sitting there praying to God, "Oh, Jesus, help me. Jesus, help me." And he's just in the throes of a panic attack. This lasted for probably about, a half an hour. And we figured out that wasn't marijuana. That was K2 or spice or whatever. And he just lost it, man. But yeah, that was, there's all kinds of people mess. Now it's just fentanyl and a bunch of other stuff, which is another coincidence, right? Isn't that amazing? We never had that problem, back when I was a kid. People used to run around and play around with different substances, and nobody had to worry about overdosing from snorting a line of coke or something, because they didn't have a bunch of fentanyl and everything. Isn't that coincidence that now kids have access to all this stuff, and they're making pills? And gee, we better make a bunch of laws and crack down and create a totalitarianistic Machiavellian system, because for the name of all is good, look at all the fentanyl that just happened to come across our border when we opened it up. And now there's a an epidemic, and people are overdosing, and the city of of Seattle is just different now, right? Portland has just gone nuts. The people are just sitting out on the street, taking a dump right there on the sidewalk. Yeah, it's Trump 2024. Trump 2024, man. Oh, let's see what's going on out there. Okay, Lily 05, I'm forced injection now after ending up in the psych ward. It's not fair that they can destroy my body and my mind without my consent, and the rules are just getting crazier. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, and so what happens? The individual, like I said, you go in there. Maybe you're just drunk. Maybe something's happening. Maybe you have an episode. Maybe the environmental stimuli that is around an individual, or the circumstances that they're dealing with, causes them to be unbalanced, or have sequelae to fit the DSM, to be diagnosed with something that would require them to be normally in an environment that was sound and logical, medicated temporarily. Okay, and then once they stabilize and kind of screw their head on a little bit, they can get progress, and they can get back to their life, right? That's the whole point. But not anymore, because you're chronic. Okay, so what happens is you get on the meds, and they say you got to take this for the rest of your life, or you have the chronic issue and the sequelae of the drugs, which is the same as the stuff that's on the DSM to diagnose the victim. And now you get thrown in front of a judge like Lily, and then what happens? Well, you've gotten better, right? And so we better keep injecting you with Invega or whatever it is, and you got to come in every month and get shot up with this stuff, or you're going to lose your disability benefits, or we're going to incarcerate you, right? Because you're just too crazy. And what's the truth? The reason that they're better is they've improved their life. Maybe they had a substance abuse problem, or maybe they were falsely diagnosed, or whatever is going on. And now that if you're a target individual, you smartened up and quit talking about this stuff and just start, working and, trying to live above reproach and traverse the landscape of being a harassed individual. And, you figured that out, or maybe someone else stabilized, or whatever the condition was, and now their life is better. But you're not getting out of that. You better come in for your injection. We're gonna lock you up. And I had a guy. He literally outsmarted the system, in the sense that he found a psychiatrist that he basically became friends with, and they both went in front of the judge and finally got it stopped. Otherwise, it would have just kept going and going and going and going. And that individual started drinking because of this, and he's one of those people that does not subscribe to the targeted individual stuff. Oh, I don't believe in demons. I don't believe in that stuff. I don't know. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am schizophrenic. I'm just hearing all these voices. I seen him walking down the street the other day talking to himself. You know, I've seen him on meds. It didn't help. Okay. But now he just drinks to stop it. All right. Mythos, all this stuff, uh, is created so people can make money on individuals that have, particular conditions in their environment, or maybe, particular, conditions in their physical makeup, and legitimate, sound treatment would help them. But now it's just become corrupted with profit and other things. And now people who aren't crazy are on the menu. People who are not suffering from mental diseases with the DSM and all that. Now you are, right? Oh, you're afraid of public speaking and spiders and heights. You got a disorder. I suggest we shoot them up right now. Yeah. Okay. The internet is fake and gay. Okay. I've never caught one of these live streams before. Do an early show more often if you can. Yeah, I will. And I'm usually pretty tired by the time I do a live, and it does show. It does show. I have a hard time, remember what's going on. Sometimes it's late. Sometimes it's between midnight and 2 in the morning. And I usually don't get off work until around 9, 10 o'clock, and then I got to eat. And then I'll do the live stream, and then I'll go to bed and try to do it again. But it probably does seem a little bit more productive to do these in the morning. However, like I said, I do have to get to work, and let me see if the breakfast is cooled off yet. It's probably not. We're getting there. So I'll look at a few more comments, and then I got to get going here. Oh, Edie loves you. Thank you for showing up. Nice. Thanks for showing up, Rise to Power. And I'm glad you guys could come in here. Let me see if there's any more comments. Well, like I said, I've got to get going, guys. I got to get to work. And of course, you have my prayers, and I'd like to ask for yours as I'm going out into the landscape of my targeted nightmare. And of course, I've got health problems and all kinds of stuff. So, I need it. And it's not easy. It's not easy dealing with all this stuff. And it all accumulates. And as on average Joe said, there's more to where we are than what the mainstream would have you believe, that we had just evolved out of a miraculous explosion in the middle of nowhere. And now we are floating through a rock and outer space. And we've got tacos and tigers and clowns and Freemasons and coconuts. And it's just, cuckoo banana town. Wonderful, isn't it? But that's not what's happening. The truth is, God created us, and we were created in the image of God, and we are headed towards an inevitable judgment day. And if you're in Christ, you get to escape the wrath of God and live forever. And the hierarchy that is controlling this fallen planet that was created by God, and the prince of the power of the air, is trying to deceive as many people as possible so that they can take you to the lake of fire. And believe it or not, it's real. So this whole thing that's happening to you is done that way. Whether you're dealing with the government program or the secret society or the good old boy society or whatever, it has roots that are evil, and obviously so. And I would suggest that you use this opportunity to wake up and see what's around you, that the reality flip that target individuals experience could be productive in that they see what's really happening behind the veil. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for participating in the live stream. Like I said, I've got the links up there for these videos. And I also have a link for anyone who would want to help support me in the channel. I'd like to thank everybody, not making a big deal out of that. Well, guys, God bless. Be good to yourselves. Be safe.